Good afternoon. So, anytime there's economic decline, like the one we're having in Nigeria, you realize that a lot of scams start coming up. A lot of people start getting defrauded. Historically, we've had situations where things come up, especially when people really need money, and people end up getting defrauded. So, I just want to quickly talk about scams. Give some examples of scams that have once trended in Nigeria. I mean, it's not exhaustive because there's a lot of it. So I'll give some examples of some scams that have trended in Nigeria, scams that have really, reduced Nigerians to paupers. I mean, so previously rich people. And then I'll also discuss why some people fall for these scams. And finally, I'll talk about how we can avoid these scams, right? So here are some of the scams that have occurred in Nigeria in recent years. The very first one I want to talk about is MMM. In 2016, something came up, and I think then it rained. You hear a lot of stuff about Mavrodi everywhere. It was a Ponzi scheme that promised people, I think, about 30% returns on their investment within a month, 30 days period. And at the peak of it was, I think, December 2016 that something happened. People who were planning to go to Christmas, December like this, people who were trying to go to Christmas, the money they had planned for it for 30 December got stuck in MMM. So people suffered, and billions of money was lost in that. There's this other one that was also a bit popular. People said it was, people will swear by it that it is legit. I think that's the word, legit. The name is NBA Forex. I think it's NBA Forex and Capitals Investment Limited. In 2020, NBA Forex was promising an average monthly return of 15%. And in that late 2020, NBA Forex failed, and people lost billions of naira to that. We also look at the next one called Imagine Global. It was in 2021. It was founded by Bamiche and Elizabeth Ajetumobi. So in their own case, they claimed they were a micro lending service, and they were also offering substantial returns. And in 2021, well, we ended up finding out that they've defrauded investors over 22 billion naira. Then there's this Poyoyo investment. They call it Billvest Nigeria Limited. Well, when you hear the name Poyoyo and you still go and put a lot of money. Interestingly, in 2021, Poyoyo also folded, defrauding investors a lot of money. Now, let's go to much earlier, because let's not look as if everything happened in 2021, 2022. In 2005, I remember that when two young girls, I think they were young girls, had something called Nospecto, I think it's Nospecto oil and gas in 2005. 2005. Those girls made 22.5 billion from Nigerians. There's also an Adi Finance in 2021. In June, of course, the investors were making between 13% and 25% ROI. But eventually, it's owned by one Adams, Uju Francis, right? And they claimed they were doing forex trading. But by the time it folded, about 2,000 investors had lost over 13 billion to the scam. Billion. There's Wales Kingdom Capital, where Nigerians in 2021 lost over 40 billion naira. That one was run by Adewale Daniel Jayoba. There's also Benignant Fort Nigeria Limited. In 2021, Akko Phillips was the person who ran it. It also folded, and people lost 10 billion naira in 2021. In 2022, there was a popular one that started from Enugu, Chimak Group, led by Maxman Chinedu Joma. And by the time it folded, estimated losses was 20 billion. Then there's the map, founded by Anya Somma, operated in Lagos, and had a scheme that promised something that sounded plausible. I think they had something about delivery service, bike delivery service, and something about CRM, customer relationship management. Those sounds interesting, but at the end, investors had lost about 7.5 billion. Now you know this. The question is, I've reeled out so many losses, and the question will now be, why do people still keep falling for this? Yeah, I've mentioned the big ones. What of the small ones? Think about all the Telegram channels, all the WhatsApp groups that you joined where you were asked to pay 20,000, and that 20,000 will be doubled in 24 hours, 48 hours, and that you get 40,000 or something similar. Think about it. Think about all those things. And you did each and every one of those, and you lost money. And you know what? People who heard about this, people who are hearing me now, listening to me now, will still probably fall for the next one. So why do people keep falling for these scams? So I think the first one is social influence and herd mentality. Once you start hearing that somebody else has made it, my friend is doing it, this other person is doing it, this other person is doing it, you join, you do your own, and of course, it will happen. Normally, it happens. So you eventually get to lose your money because you followed somebody. Follow is actually quite dangerous. There's also this issue of lack of financial literacy. So if you don't know, I understand you don't know, which is why I'm providing this information, so you know. So if you finish listening to this, and the very next place you see 30% per month, 50% per month, and you go and put your money, you did yourself. Nobody did you. Then we also know the normal one of economic hardship. So once the economy is difficult the way it is now, if they tell you to bring 20,000 naira, it will become 40,000 naira. Even you start justifying it that, well, it's more money, maybe I can afford to lose it. They're also banking on that. The people who want to steal your money are also banking on the fact that you may be able to afford to lose that money. So by the time they gather all the people who are able to afford to lose the money they will be able to afford to lose, they make 7.5 billion. They make the billions they make, and they walk away a lot richer for it. And of course, when there is high inflation and very few investment options that you can trust, of course you fall for whichever one you see first, especially for those who are not very financially literate, who also want to invest. When you don't have a lot of investment options and then there's high inflation, you know, the interesting thing about high inflation is that the inflation in Nigeria is about 35% right now. So when somebody tells you, I think banks currently pay about 8% per annum. So when you think that the inflation is 35% and banks are going to give you 8% per annum, and somebody that tells you, you can get 30% per month, you see yourself jumping towards the 30% per month without thinking, what is the risk? And then we also have people who do not trust the traditional institutions. I've already talked about banks giving 30% per annum, right? So imagine that you are not telling yourself, these people are armed robbers. Sorry, banks giving 8% per annum. So you're not telling them armed robbers. While these ones are promising me 30% per month. Look at what bank is telling me they will give me 8% per annum. I hope you understand the difference between per month and per annum. This is one of the things you need to pay attention to. There's also this psychological manipulation, and then your own greed. I've forgotten the name, but there's this particular guys that always reach out to you on Facebook and tell you that they have made money, that you want to make money. The name is not ringing a bell right now. The only reason you join that thing is because you are greedy. There is no other reason you want to try that thing. Because from nowhere, somebody you don't know reaches out to you on Facebook and tells you to come and invest 100,000, shows you fake proof of how he has made money. Why doesn't he just continue making that money on his own? Why does he have to call you to come and join him and make money? He doesn't know you from Adam. He didn't call his brother. He didn't call his sister. It's you on the internet that he doesn't know, that he wants to come and show secrets. Nigerians that are gatekeepers. Nigerians that can keep information and opportunity. Then they will now see opportunity that they will use and chop. They will come and give you. You didn't think that something is wrong. Then the other thing that attracts people into this is success stories and the initial return. Remember that some people are already earning. They are paying people. So they take the first person's money and pay the second person. Take the second person's money, pay the third person. They keep using money they've gathered in the system to keep paying the first set of people. Everybody will now go out and talk. Maybe there's also some form of incentive to bring others. So everybody will go out and invite everybody to know to earn some extra interest and to just tell them there's this thing I'm doing. No, is that there's this thing I'm doing spirit. That success story that pushes some other people that wouldn't have been interested in this into doing it. Then there's this other religious part of it. Charismatic leaders, people you trust. In all those things I counted, there are some of them who are pastors. You can research some of them. Some of them also were going to church. Some of them will come to Facebook and do a lot of giveaways and lead prayer sessions and post it and do some of those things. Because we are very religious in Nigeria and we do not really question our religion. We don't question our religious leaders. That spirit of touch not my anointed, we've transferred it into even our business transactions and our financial transactions. It actually leads a lot of us to make some financial mistakes. And of course, there's regulatory gaps. Is when it starts having issues, or after a while, when the thing has even collected money from people for about 6 months, that's when SEC will now announce that these people do not have any SEC approval law. Even putting more pressure on a system that is about to fail. So it fast tracks the failure of such companies. So if we had very strong regulatory, oversight of some of these things, ensuring that no company can truly start collecting funds from people without proper regulatory oversight, we will have much fewer of these. I'm not saying that banks who are well regulated can't fold. It's possible. But there's a difference, right? And then finally, people are looking for a better life. So you keep dreaming. The same reason why people place bets is why they are also seeing this as some form of betting. They are hoping that there's a better life that they will get by doing this. So this is one of the reasons why people do this. But how do you avoid these scams? What can you do to avoid these scams? You have seen some of the scams, you have seen why you are doing it, but what can you do? The first thing you need to do every single time you see an opportunity is to research. Do a research. First of all, can you check the regulatory status? Is it possible for you to first of all ask SEC if that is something that they've approved? Check with SEC. Check CBN. Check whatever you need to check, but do a lot of research. Also check their track record. Any track record that is less than 2 years, especially for a company that you've also not really seen from SEC, is a red flag. 6 months track record is still enough period for using one person's money to pay one person. Sometimes 2 years track record is also enough. So is also not enough. So you need to really check. There's a lot to check. Then do online reviews. Go and check with people. Ask questions. Check what people have to say online about it. You may see somebody who will call out something for you. Maybe tell you about that person. Right? Now scrutinize the returns that was promised. Any unrealistic return is dangerous. There is nobody in any economy that can pay you 15, 20, 30% per month if you are not very sure of what they are doing. It's mostly unrealistic. Especially interests that are far higher than the inflation rate. Most times, again, this is a long story, but it's possible to invest in such a way that you beat inflation. But when you put money in an interest yielding fund that beats inflation, you need to pay a lot of attention to it, because most times it's potentially dangerous, right? You also need to understand the risk-reward balance. If a scheme promises you very high returns with very minimal risk, watch it. Because anything that can promise you high returns must have a very high risk. That is why banks can promise you 8% per annum. Why? Because there's practically zero risk to your funds. Well, maybe not zero, but at least very low risk to your funds. You cannot compare it with the risk of trying to get 15% per month from a company. How many companies can sustainably pay you 15%, 5%, 10% every month? Because if I've been calling 15% per month and you're thinking that 5% per month is easy. 5% per month is very difficult. One of these days, I'll tell a story of about a business I know of and how the profit margin has shrunk from 10% to about 2% in this economy. So it's very difficult to make a comfortable 3% in a month in businesses these days. So how will somebody pay you 20% per month? That's one of the questions you ask yourself. One other thing you also need to do is you need to check their business model. What do they do? How do they make money? Somebody tells you that they are paying interest. Currently, they are paying interest because they give loans to people. Ask yourself, how many loans can they give that they are able to recover? So, you take somebody's money, you go into the market, open market, you give loans to all the traders. What of the traders that fail and run away with the loans or are just unable to pay back? They didn't run. Then how would those people continue to pay you your interest when the people who they have given your money have defaulted? Think about it. So you need to check what is their business model. How are they able to make this money? I will tell you another thing. Not Pesco, that example I gave earlier, talked about oil. Ask yourself, is Shell collecting your money to do oil business? The other people who are doing that business, do they need your money to do that business? Just ask yourself this question really. You know what? Whenever you want to do this, most times you just justify it. I understand that. But if you really don't want to lose your money, ask questions. Look for tangible products and services that they are doing. What products are they doing? What legitimate products and services are they doing? Avoid high pressure sales tactics. You know what? The person tells you about this business opportunity. And the person tells you about this business opportunity tomorrow. You say, I'm thinking about it. You say, don't worry. Why are you still thinking? People are making money. Oh, Benny, leave me now. It's my money. Why are you calling me every 2 seconds? Avoid high pressure tactics. This guy just wants you to bring out this money. Right? Beware of urgency. The guy is not even allowing you to breathe. He doesn't want you to think. He doesn't want you to go back and step back and ask yourself, do I really want to do this? He doesn't want you to do research. Also avoid influential promoters. You see, you remember when that Chimak one happened on Facebook, a lot of people now came out and started denying, but these are all the people that promoted that thing. Do not invest only because you saw an influential person invest in something. A lot of the influential people just make money off these things and walk away. Nobody cares about you. So please pay attention a lot to the fact that an influential promoter can just be making money off something and walking away. Importantly, please, can you get financial advice? If you do not have anybody you can consult, reach out to me. Ask me, what do you think about this investment opportunity? I'm not a financial advisor. However, I can give you some pointers and then probably still direct you on who you can ask for that. But I can give you pointers. Also consult experts. You know another thing you can do? Leverage regulatory tools. Go and search SEC websites. Search a CBN website. Check some of these things. Do they fall within normal regulations? Ask questions. Walk into your bank and ask your bank. Say, I have a question for you. Look at this. What do you advise? Right? Verify information independently. Do not trust the first thing you see from influencer, from the source promoting it, from anywhere. Don't just trust it. Don't trust one source. Go and verify. And then investigate every single claim and associations. Just don't, accept things the way they are. Investigate. Because the funny thing, many of these scammers, they make grand claims about, partnerships. They tell you, we are partnering with this one, we are partnering with this other farm, we have a farm in this one, we are partnering with Otamain farm. For goodness sake, verify each and every one of those things. Because how do you know that the things they claimed on their website that they are verifying, that they are partnering with is true? So if I suddenly put here in partnership with Google, did I partner with Google? How do you know that I did not partner with Google if you do not verify? Bros, if you must, send a mail to Google. Verify partnerships. Right? Then every document they give you, review it carefully, read the fine print. Because some of these people, even in their documents, have covered themselves. They know they are fraudulent and they are going to cover themselves. Review that document carefully. Take your time, go through it, check through their licenses and accreditation. Be sure of everything that they claim they are. Now, there are Ponzi indicators. Some things that can indicate that something is a Ponzi scheme. Beware of it. Pay attention to things that are Ponzi indicators. I'll give you an example of a Ponzi indicator. Any investment firm that is just focused on recruitment, they just want to bring people, bring money. They are not even focusing on the business they are doing. Their only focus is recruitment. That thing that just does only recruitment is more likely a Ponzi scheme. And then any investment that can pay a consistent return per month is likely a Ponzi. Because, businesses vary. If you are selling Oba, today you can sell a basin of Oba and you make 4,000 naira. Tomorrow you can go and you only sell half basin and you only be able to make 2,000. Prices can change, and instead of 2,000, you're only able to make 1/8 because of your profit margin. So how can you consistently be paying somebody a profit of 50%? So let's say you calculated the base of 50% of 4,000, which is 2,000 naira. But with the periods when you are now making 1/8, how are you able to continue paying that 2,000? That consistency of return is an indicator of Ponzi, except in cases, businesses where such people have annual rate of returns, right? And if their annual rate of returns is also low enough to be factored into periods when they have a slump. And if it's also a company that also maybe told you that when we have a challenge, we'll let you know on time, and we cannot sustain that return, we'll let you know on time. If it's such a company that is structured like that, it's different. But again, do your research. This is not a finality that because the company said, do a lot of research, right? Now you need to check company location and transparency. Where are they located? Have you seen the office? This is not enough. I have seen offices close up in one day, but it's one of the things you can check. There was a time I went to a company called Proven Insights. That one itself was registered by SEC that year. Long time ago. I wrote them a check of 200,000 naira. Long time ago. That's over 15 years, maybe close to 20 years ago. I wrote them a check of 200,000 naira. And the business, as at the time the business folded, by the time I went to the office, that office was not even there anymore. They were still picking my call, but at least maybe people wanted to beat them, so they were no longer in the office. So while you verify physical office presence, it's no longer enough. You also do a lot of background research on the company. Is the company active is it an active CAC company? Are they paying their tax? Are they up to date? Check all these things. Is it enough? No, because there's no one size fits all approach to this. You have to check everything together and still finally decide on how to make your final decision, because there's no one thing. Now, if you suspect fraud, please can you report them on your own to SEC? Go and tell SEC, ask SEC. It's better SEC tells you, no, this is fine, this is legit, than for you to assume and enter. Or SEC tells you, well, we don't know these people. If you are going at your own risk. Then you really know you are going at your own risk, right? Finally, listen to your gut feeling. Your mind tells you something. You know that time you want to put that money, your mind will be telling you, oh boy, no, do this thing though. Are you sure you want to do this thing though? Then you see the other person has made money. The person will tell you, you are still waiting. If you are not sure, leave it. Don't be in a hurry to do it, right? Now, avoiding scams, it requires vigilance. It's not something that you can just quickly do and get. It requires a lot of vigilance, a lot of skepticism, and a willingness to thoroughly verify claims. It requires that. You have to assess risks of any investment thoroughly. Now, there's this push for high returns. That's a lure for high returns. It should never override your careful evaluation. Never. You should always carefully evaluate and understand where your money is going to and what they're using your money to do. Pay attention to it if you do not want to lose money.